Hey everybody, my name is Blake, and this is, I think, my third or fourth attempt to make a YouTube channel. I hope that I'm gonna stick with it this time. Actually, the very last one, I did a video maybe like a month and a half ago, and I forgot the password, and I forgot the email that I made for that YouTube account because I'm brilliant. No, actually, my short-term memory is really bad, so if I don't write it down, I forget, which is why all my passwords for everything are almost like the same. But yeah. Oh, and also, there is a YouTube channel that my friend Jack and I, we are doing. We haven't put up any videos recently, but here's the link in case you want to check it out. We are planning to shoot a video sometime really soon. So yeah, so this is my personal YouTube channel, and I hope I don't forget the email and the password for this, the email or username. And basically, what am I gonna get to with this? I'm not exactly sure what my goal is. I'm sure maybe a lot of you are watching this from my Instagram, or I'm not sure if I'm gonna post this on Facebook. But basically, I am openly trans, and before I came out, I went to journalism school, and I was doing stuff on air for TV. And it wasn't really my plan to be openly trans. But, you know, I've come to realize that I am out there, and once people know that you're trans, you can't make people forget that you're trans, if you know what I mean. So I live in Vancouver, and pretty much everybody in my life knows. Most of my, or pretty much all my coworkers, most of them, know that I'm trans. And yeah, my friends, people in the community, obviously. And I guess what I want to get to is part of the reason why I haven't really fully stuck with a YouTube channel is that I don't want to be one more trans YouTuber. You know, there's so many YouTube channels where people talk about their transition and whatnot, and you know, if I think about it, that is exactly what I've done on my Instagram, for example. But I just want to be a person out there. I want to be someone who just happens to be trans. Something that I'm trying to grasp is the fact that, especially like in my community, in Vancouver, I am a bit of a walking label. You know, a lot of people know me as the trans guy. My coworkers, I'm sure a lot of them, once they find out, you know, I am the trans person, and because I am open on social media, I've also kind of put myself in that position. And also what happened is, after I came out, I accepted one interview request, and then I got another interview request. And it has kind of snowballed to the point that I've given speeches, and I think I've been interviewed at this point maybe like 7 times. But I guess something that I've always wanted, and something that I still want, is I want to be someone in my career or doing whatever it is that I do, and I just happen to be a trans person. You know, like right now we're at a spot in history where, for example, if you're in your career, let's say you're a journalist or you're a scientist or whatever, and you come out as trans, you become the headline. Or even like a politician, you know, if you come out or you're outed, you know, which did happen recently in Vancouver to someone, you kind of become the token headline of so-and-so is trans, more than what it is that they're doing in their career. Which is why I think a lot of trans people remain stealth in the workplace, because they just want to do their job, and especially if they're in a public field, like they just want to be themselves and not necessarily be a walking label. But I guess part of changing that narrative is to have people who are visible. And what I mean by that is to people who are openly trans like myself. And once enough people hear that there are people who are trans and who are walking in society and we're normal just like anybody else, we're gonna get to a point where it's not gonna matter anymore. Kind of like the gay thing. Well, at least in Vancouver, people are so over it, and it's almost kind of cool in a weird way. It's like, nobody cares if you're gay, and if you come out as gay, you're even in the media, yeah, sure, it'll say so-and-so comes out as gay, but it's really not a big deal. I find that most people just don't really care. We're not quite there with trans issues. And, you know, sometimes when I question, should I be openly trans? Or sometimes when I question to myself, you know, do I have the possibility of being stealth? Should I go stealth? I think to myself, I've realized that I've opened up a lot of hearts, and I've opened up a lot of eyes, and a lot of people that have approached me and have said, hey, before I met you, I didn't know anything about trans issues. I didn't know anybody trans, and now I have a better understanding because you've shared your story, you know, on social media, in interviews. And that, not only that, but then trans youth who reach out to me, or even older people who reach out to me and they say, hey, this is my situation, I'm still in the closet, what do I do? And when I think about those circumstances, it makes me realize it's valuable for me to be open, and it's valuable for me to be visible. And then when I put everything together in my head, I realize it's a good thing that I'm open. And you know, it's not for everybody, because you need to have a thick skin. You need to be patient with people who don't understand trans issues. And I guess my goal of this YouTube channel is, sure, I'll talk about some trans things, but I just want to be somebody out there who is doing stuff and who just happens to be trans. I want to be able to change that narrative a little bit. And something else that, I don't want to say that it bugs me, but I guess it does bug me, is the fact that a lot of the trans community is a little bit in this victim mentality, which I completely understand. You know, and it's happened to me before where I've been out on queer spaces and somebody has told me, I don't know how you can be friends with straight people, I don't know how you do it. Or sometimes people will say, you know, cis people this, straight people that. And it's not something that I really subscribe to. Like, and I understand where a lot of that comes from, and I understand where the frustration comes from. But something that I want to see is for those bridging of that gap that exists. I've never put myself, I mean, it happens, you know, crappy things happen and then you feel bad, but I've never really subscribed myself to put myself in a victim mentality. And then people, if you're watching this and you think, well, you pass as male and you're, for the most part, you know, white passing, you have privilege. And I understand that I do have those privileges now, but I was born in South America. I lived in Mississippi as a Hispanic person. I still had an accent until the age of like 18. I grew up as a feminine presenting woman for almost 22 years of my life. I was made fun of elementary school, middle school, high school. People kept saying that I was an illegal immigrant only because I was Hispanic, even though, you know, I wasn't. And I grew up in Bible Belts. I grew up in small towns as somebody who was seen as a foreigner. And I understand what it's like to experience discrimination by race, to experience, you know, sexism. I understand all of those things. And when I first came out as trans and people can make sense of what my gender was, you know, I understand what those things are, but I've never allowed myself to put myself in a sort of like victim mentality. And I feel that once you get yourself out of that mode, you can move on. You can move on from a lot of the pain and a lot of the sadness that you have. One of my best friends, his girlfriend is from Thailand, and I've never been to Thailand, but you know, I know a lot of Thai people in Vancouver, and I hope that one day, you know, society in Canada, or I guess in North America, or the world, whatever, eventually is going to be kind of like how it is in Thailand regarding trans issues, or I guess how it is with gay people now in Vancouver, and that nobody really cares. I remember one time, we went to this person's house. She's from Thailand. She was cooking us some dinner, and one day I just went in there with, my hair was shorter, and I said, hey, I now go by Blake, by the way. And she said, okay. And that was it. And we had dinner. And you know, to me, that is so great. The fact that it doesn't matter. It's just not a big deal. My hope is that one day we're gonna get to that point, but in order for that to happen, we need people to be visible and we need people to educate. Yeah, and like, I don't mean to criticize anybody. I understand where a lot of the, and you know, in the same way, a lot of people don't understand trans issues, and a lot of people can be really mean without realizing it, or people can be intrusive or ask questions that they shouldn't ask, which is why I think, you know, it's valuable to be open. It's valuable for somebody like myself to have patience with people who have never met somebody trans. And like, if somebody asks me a rude question and they don't mean to be rude, like if somebody says, oh, have you gotten the surgery? And I happen to know that person, and I happen to know that they're not coming from, it's not malintentioned. If I know they just haven't met somebody trans ever before and they just don't know that that's just a really dumb thing to ask, I have patience with that. You know, and at the same time, I completely understand why it bothers most trans people. Like, it definitely gets under my skin sometimes. And it does bother me, but that's why I think it's valuable to have people who have a thick skin, who are open, who are visible, and hopefully even like 20, 25 years from now, or whenever that is, it's gonna be like the gay thing, and it's not gonna really matter. Yeah, and like, I've always been like a pretty reserved person. Like, even though like when I first came out as a lesbian before I came out as trans, which was like the wrong label on like different levels to begin with. There was people that for a long time they didn't know because I didn't post about it. I never made Facebook statuses or Instagram posts about it. I had coworkers from certain workplaces that for a couple of years they just never knew. Not because I was in the closet, it's because if it never came up, it never came up. And for the most part, you know, I'm a pretty private person and I'm really reserved. So for me to be out in the spotlight based on something that is so personal, it can be hard on me sometimes. But you know, I before coming out, you know, I was out there in other ways. You know, I was out there in the fact that, you know, I was doing broadcasting, but if I was out as a reporter or working in radio, interviewing somebody, it was never about me. Like, I was just going out there interviewing other people. And if I was out there as a reporter, and nobody knew anything about my personal life. And I like that. We're at a point where if you're out as trans, whether you want to or not, you are a bit of a walking label, and I know that I contribute to that by talking about it. Before I started to transition, yeah, like I said, I was in broadcasting. So it kind of changed my life in that way too, that I came out wanting to continue my broadcasting career, and I guess the trans spotlight took over and people just wanted to interview me. So it was the other way around, you know. I loved interviewing people. I was out with the microphone, and I've interviewed a lot of people, you know, just everyday folks. I've interviewed celebrities, you know, like singers, actors, and now everything just kind of flipped, and now all sorts of reporters wanted to talk to me. And that was like really overwhelming, and sometimes it is overwhelming because I love being in control and, you know, having that microphone and asking people questions and learning about them. And now, having been interviewed so many times, now I kind of realize, the torture that I made some people go through, like, as a journalist before, because being interviewed is scary, and being asked personal questions, I don't know, like, it really puts a lot of things into perspective of why a lot of people don't like journalists. I want to introduce somebody to you. Just 1 second. This here is my precious Bean. He's a toy poodle, and he is turning 10 in a few months, and he's awesome. You know, he keeps me company, and he's the best. Just take a closer look at him. Bean, wanna say hi? Oh, you wanna say hi? Oh, you're so cute. You're so cute. Yay. I guess my point is, I don't know where I'm gonna go with this YouTube channel. I don't know if it's gonna grow or if I'm gonna have 2 viewers or what's gonna happen, but I just wanna live my life, and I don't wanna just be a trans person. So perhaps this is a place where I'm just gonna voice opinions, or where I'm gonna do like little skits or whatever, right? Yeah, let's see where this goes. I'm just gonna go with the flow. Once again, check out Blake and Jack YouTube channel. We'll have something up hopefully sometime soon. And yeah, we'll see where this channel goes, and thanks for watching. Bye.